Hey girl, are you a late diagnosed neuroatypical individual who is possibly over 40 and who was masking her whole life, and you done ran out of F's to give because you know how we get over 40? Let me tell you a secret. Stop trying to make your brain do what it don't want to do, because it's not gonna do it. I'm serious. Like, stop, because I know what that is. I know what that is, okay? Oh, and also you might be dealing with perimenopause. Please, okay? Stop. Over 40, neuroatypical or not, you start running real low on F's to give, right? You reach in your pocket and you like, I got one or two, and it's not gonna be it's not gonna be on this, you know what I'm saying? So all those things compiled means that there's a certain level. I'm not saying that people can't change over 40. I'm not saying that you can't make positive change and things like that. I'm not saying that at all. This is not that video. What I'm saying though is that where is your energy best spent? I'll give you an example. So I have ADHD and also autism, and you know, late diagnosed, and dealing with perimenopause. I'm 42, you know, the list goes on. So I have a really bad issue, a bad problem. Sorry y'all, my hair is like, I'm sitting on it. And anyway, I have a really bad problem with forgetting where I parked. So if it's a really large parking lot and I don't frequent that place like a whole lot, or if I park somewhere I don't usually park, I'm going to forget where I park. I mean, it's like clockwork. You can bet money on it. And I never remember that I'm going to forget. I mean, it is really like that. I will forget where it is. You can set your clock to it. I'm so serious. So one day it was just like at a point where, and it's actually been like that at a point a couple times. Like, it's so bad because, again, not only like the ADHD, I feel like makes me forget where I park, but then like my anxiety and my autism make me think that people are noticing that I don't know where my car is. Like, stupid. So I've literally faked a conversation on the phone as if I am trying to contact somebody about my car, like where, like somebody else knew where my car at, like I didn't lose my own car, right? And who gives a fuck, right? Like that's a whole thing. That's a whole separate conversation. Like, why am I even thinking about that at a time where I can't even find my car? And who gives a fuck about me wondering about somebody they don't even know trying to find their car, right? But anyway, it's bad, right? It's real bad. So one day it was just like, it was crazy. And I had my daughter with me, and she was like, Mama, everybody else just go to their car. Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, first of all, you didn't know either. But second of all, ouch. It's time for us to figure this out. So I got on ChatGPT and I was like, look, I explained the situation. I'm like, you know, the whys and hows of my brain and why it is not clicking. And it did explain, like, you know, it's just not, my brain does not label that as something that is important. For some reason, there is just a disconnect there between me parking and doing what I'm supposed to do and actually remembering that. So, you know, whatever. But I'm like, you know, I need a solution. And it came up with a brilliant solution, which was to create an automation in my phone using, I don't know if you have an iPhone, have you ever used the Shortcuts app? Literally have never used it. I have never used an automation on my phone, but it gave me like the instructions to set it up. And essentially what it does is it takes my location and it pops my so if I'm connected to Bluetooth, when I disconnect, it takes my location and it pops it opens my camera app, so I can take a picture as well as, have the actual location of my car. And what I found is that this was a great solution because just the automation running itself made me be more apt to remember where I parked. So generally, I wouldn't even have to take the photo, and I wouldn't even need to use the location. Just the automation running itself would help me. And I know that it worked because I recently stopped the automation thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but I did. And I noticed that I started forgetting where I parked again. And so I turned the automation back on. But my whole point in that is there comes a point, where you just have to accept yourself for who you are. And, my last few videos have been about, just understanding that you're not broken. You're not, nothing is wrong with you necessarily. We're just wired differently. And everybody has, flaws and, things that they do very well and some things that they don't. And having, I think, a neurodiverse condition can sometimes amplify, if you're a high functioning or low support needs type neurodivergent, it can amplify, good things, but it can also amplify the negative and things that you struggle with. And the reason that I brought up like all those intersections as far as age, whether you've been masking a really long time, if you have a neuroatypical condition, dealing with perimenopause, etc., it can be really difficult to try and rewire the way that you work, to try these different techniques and things like that. And I'm a full believer in in this day and age of so much technology and intelligence at our fingertips, aside from, not getting real deep into the philosophical and environmental impacts and things like that. I'm just on a daily basis on just like some real shit on a day-to-day survival type shit. I fully believe that we have the power to create our own systems, and systems that are literally structured around the way we are personally wired. And that automation is just one example of the many that I have been implementing in my life to make things easier for myself. I don't have time to try, I'm not going to put in the effort to try and rewire the way I operate. I am looking into, getting medicated, but I'm not going to try and beat myself up and try to rewire the way that my brain works. It's just, I'm not going to put the energy into that. I'd much rather make the world bend to me. And that's kind of what I think about, when I say just doing that, just taking, using what we have at our fingertips and making things work for you rather than you trying to fit into a system that you never fit into ever. But yeah, I just wanted to share that, and let me know if you can relate, because I think that those are, it's just something about being a woman and being neurodivergent and going through all those things. But yeah, let me know what you think and maybe implement that yourself.